Welcome to Book Tease. I'm your host, Jamie, and this is the podcast that reminds you that even the mom next door likes her fiction filthy. It is getting so hot outside, so it's only fair that the books we read be equally scorching, right? This is the first week in our Sizzling Summer series. Say that 3 times fast. July is going to be a sizzling summer, and I am so excited. I'm always excited, it seems like. Anyway, I can't wait. We are coming off of June being about murder and dark romances, and it's going to be so fun to kind of lighten it up and have some sun-soaked rom-coms to dive into. So I'm ready to start feeling like I need a margarita on the beach, y'all. So I'm excited. The first book in this series, the one we're talking about today, is It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey, and it is book 1 in the Bellinger Sisters. There's only 2 books in this series, and they're both super fun. I've read the second one, so just, letting you know. It's also available on Kindle Unlimited. Every book this month is available on Kindle Unlimited. Just, when does that happen? I'm so excited. That's wonderful. Just a reminder, this podcast does contain spoilers. I spoil the whole book. So if you haven't read this book, you might want to pause, read the book, and come back, because this one is hilarious. And it is so much fun to read. I mean, I was giggling the first time I read it, like a year ago, and I was giggling this time. And I ended up rereading the whole book because it's that much fun. And the audiobook is really good on this one too. Just saying. Okay. It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey. We are starting with Piper. Piper is an Instagram famous, LA-based socialite. She is spoiled. She's never had to work a job in her life. She gets taken well care of by her stepfather. And yeah, she's just like a Paris Hilton type is what comes to my mind. Just like running around, wearing designer clothes, getting into trouble, just used to doing what she wants, when she wants. She's still so sweet. She's still so sweet. Well, the book opens with her getting broken up with by her boyfriend she's had longer than any other boyfriends. 3 weeks. She's had this man for 3 weeks, and that's supposed to be some long-lasting relationship for her, to which I just want to give her a hug and go, oh, honey. And she's 28. So she's getting, to the end of her 20s, and this is still the longest relationship she's ever been in, and she's still just running around doing whatever. So in retaliation, or to make herself feel better, after getting broken up with, because he had some pretty harsh words, y'all. He was like, you're a dime a dozen. I'm breaking up with you before this gets boring. I can find anyone like you, Piper. I mean, just some rude stuff, like he's some prize. So she wants to make herself feel better. And because he's a celebrity and she's a celebrity, because, she's a celebrity for being rich and being kind of an it girl. So she's like, okay, it's already getting out there. I need to control the narrative for this, or it's going to mess up my reputation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go pull a huge party prank that's going to spin the narrative for me in the positive. So she goes and gathers up her friends, and they break into this fancy hotel to go swim on their rooftop pool or something. And it's all these people breaking into it, and she invites all these people, and she puts it on the Instagram, and there's like police helicopters shutting it down. I mean, it is crazy. So she ends up in jail, which is hilarious. Her in jail in her little Valentino dress. She's just like, but I have to pee. And this is unsanitary, this toilet. Do you have a bathroom that's not quite so unsanitary that I could pee in? And she's so likable, and she's so sparkly, and has such a sweet personality that the police guard actually, and it's a female, she ends up going, okay, you're very likable. I'll let you use the good toilet. And then her sister bails her out. Oh, I have a side story just because I like to throw those in when they're relevant. I have been to jail once. In my 20s, I was kind of a party girl, and I ended up in jail for, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter why. I was only in there for a few hours. It was a holding cell. It wasn't like jail, gin pop. I wasn't in there, but I was in a holding cell. And I, too, called my mother and was like, well, she didn't call her mother, but it doesn't matter. I called my mother and was like, it is so unsanitary in here, and I don't even know. I can't even sit down. So I get it. Girl, I feel you. I do. It is not for the faint of heart in there. Moving on. She gets in big time trouble for this by her stepfather. He's like, this is a step too far. You're 28. You don't realize the value of money. You're messing up my business deals, which is really the crux of it. If it was just her being wild, he obviously has not cared. But he has a huge movie deal he's trying to work out because he's a producer. And the backer for this movie is the owner of that hotel. So she picked the wrong place, y'all. So that's why he's mad. That's his main reason for being mad. So he's like, okay, I know you don't know much about your biological dad, and your mom's never really wanted to talk about him. However, he grew up in a small town called Newport, Washington. That's where your mother's from. That's where you were both born, because her sister's there with her, because she apparently wasn't supposed to bail her out because he wanted to teach Piper a lesson. And she was like, I'm not leaving my sister in jail so you can teach her a lesson. That's ridiculous. So she bails her out, and they're both in hot water with the stepdad. So he's like, your dad actually left you a bar, and I've been paying this random person to be a caretaker for it. Since you did this, you need to learn the value of money. You need to learn how to kind of be independent on your own. And you need to kind of like go figure it out for a little bit. He's going to give her a little bit of money. And then he's going to send her off to Newport, Washington. He said, this bar has a little apartment over the top. I've been paying someone to take care of it. So you have to go do whatever, take care of that, earn some money of your own, and figure it out. For 3 months, you're not allowed to step foot back in LA. You have 3 months. This summer, that's where you're staying. Newport, Washington, and figure it out. Okay. Her sister Hannah's like, I'm not making Piper go do this by herself. She don't even know how to make toast, okay? She's never had to do anything. Meanwhile, Hannah's at least, she's not really into the fashion and the glitz and the glamour. She's also spoiled in her own way, but she's an audiophile. She loves music. She loves records. She just buys the one she wants. She's went through school, and she's working for a company, and has a huge crush on her boss. So she's doing that. So she at least said no, she has worked before. So he's not trying to punish her other than shame on you for bailing her out when I told you not to. But she's like, you know what? I'm going with her. I'm going to go help her out. She's my sister. I mean, they're like besties. I'm going to go help her out. I'm not going to leave her to fend for herself. So off they go to Newport, Washington. They show up at night, or late in the afternoon, to this bar. And it turns out this caretaker that their stepfather's been paying has done absolutely nothing. The bar is decrepit. Just local fishermen take turns buying beer and just use it as kind of a hangout. They call it No Name because it doesn't even have a name. And they're like, okay, who are these chicks? Because it's a small town and everybody knows everybody. These chicks just roll up with a ton of bags and in designer clothes, and Piper's wearing like this floppy hat. And he's like, is this a joke? What is this? So she's like, well, I'm here to take care of the bar and to live in the apartment. And he's like, you're not going to last one night in that apartment, girl. Like, it's a bad. So he's like, okay, let me show you. He's being kind of grumpy to him because he immediately is like, these rich girls are showing up. They didn't even know their father, because she does tell them, our dad was Henry LaCrosse, or Henry Cross, I think his name was. And they're like, you didn't even know him, and you don't know this town, and you don't know nothing about this area, and you think you're going to come here and just change things and live here for 3 months. So he immediately treats them with animosity. And he's a very grumpy fisherman captain, who's apparently also very hot. So anyway, he shows them up to the apartment, and it is just as bad as downstairs. There are mice and rats everywhere. It is, and there's like one bunk bed. So it's gross. But Piper, she is not one to be deterred. Like, that guy is going to, challenge her. She's like, okay, I'll show you. We are going to stay here, and I am going to figure it out. So you could take your rudeness and shove it up your ass, sir. And I love her for this. She is unapologetically herself throughout this whole book. She is not embarrassed with the fact that she likes pretty things. And yes, she's spoiled. And yes, she likes designer clothes and shopping. And why is that a problem? Why should she be ashamed of that? And really, why should you be ashamed of something that brings you joy? Just because other people might find it vapid. She's a very nice person. And she's always doing for other people, which is how she eventually wins everyone over. They go through, they face a ton of challenges, y'all. And I'm not even going to hit all of them, but let's hit some highlights. She's never cooked a day in her life. She's never had to clean a day in her life. Her and her sister decide to tackle this, and they clean that apartment. Like, they scrub it clean. They scrub that yucky bathroom clean, and they try to make it somewhat cozy and livable. They patch up all the mouse holes so that rats can't get in there anymore. And her sister's like, or Piper's like, okay, I'm going to cook for my sister because she didn't have to. And I also know that we only have a finite amount of money. I have to think about that now. So I can't really go and buy a bunch of food every day. Like, we can't go out to eat every day like we're used to. We don't have a cook. Somebody has to figure it out. So she goes to the grocery store and she runs into Brendan again. That's the grumpy fisherman guy. And he's being sassy to her there. And then finally, Piper calls him out and she's like, what did I do to you? You're mad just because I showed up and I exist? I mean, my father lived here, and all I've heard about is how you've said y'all are such a proud town and everyone is so nice and friendly and they all help each other, where you've done nothing but be mean to me since I got here. I'm just trying to figure things out on my own. I'm not even bothering you. So what is it? Is this supposed to be a friendly, helpful town, or is everyone just assholes like you? Well, it kind of wakes him up and he's like, oh man, if my mother were alive, she sure would be mad at me. Like, she sure would have something to say about how I'm acting and how I'm not being friendly or welcoming, and I'm kind of not being a good representation of this town. So you're right. So he's like, okay, I'll teach you I'll tell you real quick a very simple thing to make for dinner. Here's some spaghetti noodles, here's some pasta sauce, and here's some ground beef. Just make an easy bolognese. Brown the beef up, put it in the sauce, put it over the noodles once you cook the noodles. So easy. You just boil water, put it in there. And she's like, okay. I mean, how do you brown beef? He's like, girl, I don't know. Please. He says it as a joke. Please don't burn down the bar. Well, next thing he knows, he's having breakfast or brunch or whatever, lunch, whatever, with a friend of his the next day at the cafe across the street from the bar. And she comes running out there with a frying pan on fire because she doesn't know how to brown beef. And she let a rag soaked in cleaning chemicals sit too close to the stove and it catches fire. And she just throws it all in the pan. She's like, I don't know. Well, at this point, she's so like still nice about it. And she's like, oh, I'm embarrassed and blah, blah, blah. And thank you for helping me. Well, she's starting to win him over. And he's like, oh, look, let me show you around. Let me teach you some stuff. Let me help you do this, And he buys her lunch and his sister lunch. And anyway, it's really cute. They decide, her and her sister decide, we have nothing else to do. Let's show our stepfather that we're taking this seriously and actually do a project. And they decide they're going to renovate the bar. They're going to turn it around. They're going to make it nice. And then they're going to open it up in honor of the father that they didn't know. Really sweet idea. So they start working their ass off. And Brendan is impressed. And so he's getting won over by Piper and her sparkling, vivacious personality and how she's just like, doesn't let anything get her down. She's like, takes every challenge. And even if she's like failing, she's like, I could still do this and I'm going to make it happen. And he's just like, oh my God, it's the true grumpy sunshine dynamic, y'all. Like, and this man, this tall, muscular, grumpy fisherman is also the ultimate cinnamon roll. I'm so serious. And I love a cinnamon roll. So he is just like tough on the outside, but he does the sweetest stuff for her. Like, she's telling him her plans for the bar, and he just shows up the next day with his toolbox and some friends and goes out there and builds her a pergola and just starts showing up to help build things and do different things and brings friends to help. And she doesn't ask for any of it. He just shows up and she's like, what's happening? And her sister's like, I think he likes you. And she was like, I don't know if he likes me. He's really grumpy. And she's like, but he's building you a pergola. It's so cute. So, the more he's showing up and helping and she's winning him over, the more they're talking, the closer they're getting. And it is just the sweetest thing to watch this grumpy man start to melt. And she just kind of like chills him out and opens him up and brings this sunshine into his life. And he grounds her. And it is just I love it. It like was such a sparkling, sweet thing to watch or to listen or to read from my heart. I loved it. So she even ends up meeting her paternal grandmother, who she didn't even know existed. And they have a blast. She makes her life better because her grandmother was so brokenhearted when her son died, when Piper's father died, that she wasn't even coming out of her house to do anything. Like, she was just like the last, I don't know how many years, which has just been kind of living in sorrow or whatever. So Piper gives her a makeover, and eventually they talk her into going out. And then Piper ends up winning over all the women in the town because she's giving them makeovers and giving them beauty advice and teaching them how to do a walk. And it's just, everyone ends up loving Piper. She really just kind of slides into this town because she's so open and sweet and just fun. And she is just so kind-hearted. She meets this man, this older gentleman, and he's really sweet to her. And she starts walking him because he likes this area. He likes to sit there and read every day, but he can't get there, so he can only go 2 days a week when his daughter-in-law, has time to bring him. And she's like, well, I don't mind. I go for a run every day. I could go for a run and then walk you and let you sit there and read a bit and then walk you back. I mean, you don't have to. Why not? That'll be a good use of my time. I mean, and to her, it's no big deal, but to him, it's like, oh my God, you're an angel. This is so sweet. You have no reason to want to do this for me. And she's like, I mean, why not? And so she's really integrating herself into this town, but she still has this like inner insecurity because of everything that she's been told by pretty much everyone in her life, except for her sister, like her father-in-law. I mean, not her father-in-law, her stepdad's telling her, hey, you are vapid and your life means nothing and you need to get out there and learn how to work and learn how to be a part of the world and all this stuff. Everything you do is irrelevant. And then she had that boyfriend tell her the same thing. And then since she left, none of her friends have even reached out or given a crap that she's gone. They're all just living without her. So she's really starting to feel like everything she's built in her 28 years of living is unimportant. And she's got this meaningless existence. Well, the closer that Piper and Brendan end up getting, they have some like spiciness, y'all. Oh my God. This man, he can talk. He's given her the best orgasm she's ever gotten. And the way she like cannot wait to tell her sister the next day is so cute. And it is so like, I mean, I felt it like when you have like the best sex and you're like, I really like this guy. This is what he did. It was so cute. The girl chat was so cute and I loved it. Well, a little about Brendan. He, I guess, is grumpy for a reason. Besides the fact that's just his nature, being a tough fisherman captain. But he also is a widower. His wife passed away very suddenly while he was on a fishing trip. And he's lived the last 9 years of his life just not dating, just being loyal and honorable to her still. And her father is the one who, it's his boat. He owns the boat that Brendan captains. And Brendan just feels like, I mean, every year they have a like not memorial, but kind of a memorial. It's like a party in her honor to remember her. And I mean, seriously, like he cannot move on for multiple reasons. He still wears his wedding ring. But the closer he gets to Piper, he ends up taking his wedding ring off. And then they start a sexual relationship. It's apparently really, really good. And then he's falling for her. And he's wanting to do all these little things for her. And he's wanting her to stay. But he doesn't want to pressure her. Even when they start falling in love, he's like, I don't want to pressure her to stay here. This is a small town. It's nothing like what she was used to in Los Angeles. So he has a little insecurity of his own. And he's like, okay, well, I'll show her how she could have it here too. And he's got money, y'all. He's got millions. It doesn't seem like it, but apparently crab fishing is a huge deal and he's making all this money. And he just has it in his bank account because he doesn't give a shit. He does the same thing. Like he is so routine. He does like the same thing and he eats the same dish at every restaurant he goes to. He eats the same thing. I mean, he does not branch out, this man. He's like, I know what I do on Mondays and I know what I do on Wednesdays. Like he is so in his routine. So she starts knocking him out of that routine and it's great. Like she really breathes life back into his existence, y'all. So he has all this money. And so he's like, oh, I'm going to bring you to Seattle and show you how much fun it can be. And he takes her shopping and he books this really nice hotel. And that's when she's like, I don't need this. Look how expensive these jeans are, $100. Well, I think that's a lot of money. I don't need these. And she's like, I can afford your pair of jeans. and so that's when she's like, oh my God, my boyfriend has money and I had no idea. And I find that out right after I learned the value of $1. What is this? What is life? So it's really cute. Their dynamic is really cute. And they slowly start opening up to each other and trusting each other. And then they admit that they're in love. And he's still trying, he talks her into moving in with him. And she does only because her sister's like, I'll move into the spare bedroom. And that'll be good because then I'm not in that little bunk bed anymore. And he even like makes it as comfortable as he can for his sister, getting her this really nice record player that she can use in her room. And like, it's cute. It's really cute. So he's trying not to pressure her, and he's trying not to pressure her. But then he finds out after they've scheduled a grand opening day for the bar and it's getting closer to getting done and all this stuff, he finds out that she's invited her stepfather. And he's supposed to show up to the grand opening of the bar. And the hope was, when she invited him, was way at the beginning, before she started a relationship with Brendan. But he doesn't know that. He doesn't ask her either, but whatever. Won't go there. Yeah. So she invited him with the hope that he's going to see all the work she did and be so impressed that he'll let her go back home early. That she'll get to go, her and her sister will get to go back to LA early. So he finds that out and he is mad and he ends up kind of blowing up. He tells her, I have a fishing trip tomorrow, which she already knew about. It's a fishing trip right before the grand opening. When he comes back, it'll be like the day of the grand opening or the day right before. And he's like, look, come, if you show up tomorrow morning, because he's like, I'm staying somewhere else tonight because he's pissed off. So like, if you show up tomorrow morning to see me off, tell me goodbye for this trip, I'll know that you've decided you're going to stay. But if you don't show up, I'll know you've made your decision and that you're wanting to go back. And that'll be that. So he gives her an ultimatum essentially and storms out. I mean, my God, she's not even been there 3 months. Like, she's had this huge life change and she's not even been there 3 months, and her whole life is being weird at this point. And you're going to go and pressure her and throw this at her and not even want to bend. It's like, change everything for me or get the fuck out. I mean, my God. He doesn't say that, but anyway, that's how she takes it. So she is upset and she's angry, and she tells her sister, I'd already decided I wanted to stay. I mean, I'm hoping I impress our father-in-law, or I keep saying that. I hope I impress our stepdad because I figured out he's right. And I mean, I am building something that's important and I'm really proud of what we did here. So I'm hoping I impress him, but I've already decided I want to stay. I love Brendan and I love my friends I've made here. They feel like true, valuable friends, and I've already decided I want to stay. So I'm going to show him I'm showing up tomorrow and I'm going to make him feel bad about it. I love it. And he's going to have to gravel a little bit. So because this is like a rom-com, of course we have to have things that go awry. So she brings the old man that she walks. She's does her run and then she brings him, and she's left herself plenty of time. Well, he trips and falls and hits his head, and it's an emergency. And so she stays with him until his son gets there and the paramedics get there, whatever, and he's getting checked out. And so she ends up being like 30 minutes late. And Brendan's so in his feels, he doesn't wait. He's like, okay, we're leaving. And they leave. And she shows up as, she sees the boat. Like Little Mermaid style, the boat's just tooting off to the sunrise or whatever. And she's like, oh, and she's crying because she's upset. She goes, he's going to think on this whole trip, because they never get cell service on the boat. So she tried to text him. He didn't get it. And so he's going to think this whole trip that I've decided I want to leave. And I had already decided I wanted to stay. I was just scared to say something about it. I mean, everything has changed so much. I didn't want to make the full leap yet, but I had already made my choice and was planning on telling him. I just needed to feel like my footing was there just a little bit better before I announced it to him. And here he is tooting off into the distance. He's going to think that I don't want to stay. So she's crying. And then this fisherman's wife comes up and she goes, oh, honey, you're going to have to toughen up if you're going to date a fisherman captain. And, no tears. They don't want your tears. And I was like, oh, my God, seriously, lady, you don't even know. So that happens. Well, she is like, okay, I'll just explain when he gets back and he'll understand because shit happens. And she finishes getting the bar all ready to go. And then it's opening day. It's the grand opening party. And this is what happens. Oh, it's so sad. All this stuff happens to her in quick succession. Her stepfather calls and cancels. because a problem with the movie is more important than him coming out and seeing his daughters that he raised. He's like, I can't be bothered to see what you've done, but cool. Thanks for inviting me. I can't make it. So that hurts. She's like, I was really proud of what I've done and I really wanted to show you, but okay. So that hurt her. Nobody shows up to her grand opening for hours. Just sitting there. Oh, it breaks her heart. Brendan doesn't show up. The friends she's made doesn't show up. Nobody shows up. And then the father of Brendan's late wife, his father-in-law, he shows up and is just kind of looking around. And he's like, oh, I guess this town, these people don't really like when fancy, things just start coming around. Basically, he implied he won't even order a beer because it's too fancy. Like, he's just kind of being a dick, which doesn't really fit him because he's not been a dick. He's just a grieving father. But he's kind of like doing a dig at her, and he's like implying that she could never replace his daughter. So why was she even trying, essentially? And it just really is the final blow that just breaks Piper's heart. And her sister looks at her and she goes, you've lost your Piper sparkle. You're always so, no matter what life brings, you're always so bubbly and vivacious and positive. And you're just like, okay, well, you know what? I'm going to tackle it, or I'm going to do this. And this is the first time I've ever seen you just look like you're dejected. And I don't want that for you. Her friend had been texting her about this big party because suddenly Piper's back in the media because everyone's wondering where she went. She threw this whole big scene and then she just disappeared. And so she's like, let's momentum this. I'm going to throw you a huge party in your honor in LA. Show up. It's going to be great, bitch. That sort of thing. And Piper's like not going to show up. And then after this, Hannah's like, go to that party. See if LA is what you're missing and get your sparkle back because you've been giving so much and it hurts me to see you hurt. So go do that. And so she does. She leaves. Again, we have to have a lot of comedy of errors or things that just go awry. So Brendan does show up. And he shows up like way late. And because this is what happened, y'all. So there was a barge fire, and so they couldn't come in. The Coast Guard wouldn't clear them to come in. So he's like, shit, I'm going to be late to the grand opening, but I'm still going to get there, and I'm going to try to win her over because he's been thinking this whole time, oh, I'm such a dick. I've been telling her I'm not going to pressure her. She's only been here like 2 months. Like, what am I doing, man? She's changed everything. I need to instead try to meet her halfway. I love her. I don't want her out of my life. I'm going to go win her back over and tell her, hey, I'm going to meet you halfway. If you want to live, the off season in LA and then come here for crab season or whatever, or you can live there while I'm offshore doing the crabs. I mean, he's like, I'm going to figure something out and we're going to make this work because she's worth it. And I'm a dick for even pushing her on this. I mean, I really should have thought about things from her perspective. Well, he shows up, y'all, like way late because he had to get the boat in and he had to go bring the fish or whatever to market and all this stuff. So he's way late and the bar is packed to the gills. There's and poor Hannah is like bartending and doing everything by herself. So she's like swamped under, and he's like, where is Piper? And she's like, she left, man. Nobody was here until like 40 minutes ago. I mean, nobody showed up. We were sitting here for hours and then all this stuff happened. So she left. I told her to leave. I told her to go back to LA because she had lost her sparkle. And he's like, fuck, all that happened. And then Mike, his father-in-law, comes up to him and he's like, man, when you find her, tell her I'm so sorry. This is what I said. I didn't know she had been integrating herself, because by then he had talked to people and he found out that she's been doing all these nice things for and making all these female friends and doing all this nice stuff for them. And he found out that all the nice stuff she's doing for everybody, her grandmother, the sweet old man that she just happened to meet. I mean, she's doing all this stuff for everybody and not even bragging about it, not even telling he had no idea. She lived with him and he had no idea she was going every morning after her run to walk this sweet man to his favorite park or whatever to, read. So he's like, oh shit, like my poor Piper, she needs to know how much she's loved. So he's like, okay, hell with this. Oh, and the reason everybody was late was because of that barge fire, because there are some locals that worked on it or were on it or whatever, and they wanted to make sure that their own was safe before they went out to a party. It's valid, especially in a small town, but nobody told her. Nobody told, you'd think her friends could at least send her a text because they were scheduled to bring cupcakes and shit. They could have at least sent a text, been like, hey, look, this is what's going on. Everyone's gonna probably be late. But I guess they took it for granted that she would know. I don't know. Anyway, so that's what happened. So Brendan's like, well, fuck this. I'm going to LA and I'm going to get my girl. Good job. So Hannah tells him all about the party that Piper's going to and all this stuff. When this man shows up to this party to get her, she is on a mechanical unicorn suspended in the air in a designer dress with a wand, just slowly descending to the stage. It is so outlandish. And even Piper is like, this is dumb. What am I even doing? I want to go home. I want to go back to my little town in Newport. I want to talk to Brendan. I want to convince everyone to let me in. And I mean, she is done. Brendan, when she gets down off that stupid unicorn, he runs up to her and he apologizes and he starts telling her, look, these are the things I'll do to compromise. I will live in LA some of the time. I mean, we can make this work, baby. Please forgive me. And she tells him, look, I'm already sick of this place. I want to go home to Newport. That's where I want to be. And maybe I want to visit LA occasionally, but I don't want to live here anymore. I want to go home. Take me home. And so they make up and it's so cute and it's so funny. And when she gets there, she's really welcomed and loved into this town. And she ends up running that bar in honor of her father and just becoming a good central part of the town and really finds a life of meaning and value. And it was such a hilarious journey along the way. I want to point out a few things. Or actually, I've already pointed out that it's the ultimate grumpy sunshine and that Brendan is such a cinnamon roll. But I also want to point out something that is a bit ridiculous. And I know this is a rom-com and there's a lot of ridiculousness in it. But she calls his arms the recharging station. And not once, several times, consistently, she calls it the recharging station. Give me a hug. Let me into the recharging station. And then he hugs her or he cuddles her. And it's supposed to be cute, but every time I was just kind of like, is she like a Tesla? What is happening? What is going on? It's the recharging station. And it just was so silly. And so I had to point that out that, yes, I read that too. For those who read it, and that was just a sticking point, which I did look at some reviews for this, and that seems to be something people don't like. And I'm telling you, yes, I too thought it was absolutely ridiculous. I've never once told my husband, oh, give me a hug, let me into the recharging station. He'd probably side-eye me if I did. Anyway, I'm still rating this book a 4 because I thought it was hilarious. It was super spicy. It was a lot of fun, and it gave me the giggles, and it was the perfect opener to our Sizzling Summer series. So I'm giving it 4 stars, and the spice is a 3.5. There's nothing overly just dramatically kinky, but it is like they use some language and there's some graphicness going on, and he is just like all up in it. So it's pretty spicy, and there's also quite a bit of the spice. So yeah, I'm going with 3.5. I think that's the perfect rating on the spice. For casting, I'm going with, y'all, the casting makes me giggle just as much as the book did. I nailed it. Tell me I didn't. For Piper, I'm going with Addison Rae. How could I not? She is a TikTok celebrity. She's Piper off the page. She is a TikTok celebrity. Absolutely beautiful, very bubbly. She's also a singer and an actress. She played in He's All That. But yeah, that is Piper. To a T, I could not cast anyone besides Addison Rae. Go look her up and tell me I'm wrong. For Brendan, I'm going with Aaron Taylor Johnson. Aaron Taylor Johnson is a bit shorter than Brendan. Brendan is 6'4". And I think Aaron Taylor Johnson's like 6, maybe 6'2". I don't know. Don't quote me on that. I did not look it up or write it down. But he is a bit shorter because, I mean, freaking 6'4". Brendan's a tree. But anyway, he's got that gruff fisherman look. I think he'd nail it. I could see him as a fisherman being grumpy and still throwing it down. Totally. He was in Craven the Hunter and he was in Kick-Ass, and y'all loved Kick-Ass. That was a hilarious show. So you know he has some personality. Here are some quotes that I found super fun, and just gonna tell you, some of these are naughty, and I had to include them because they made me giggle and I thought they were great. And if we're talking about memorable quotes, some of the stuff Brendan be saying when they're getting down, I had to write it down. So if you don't want to hear some language, well, first off, why you listen to this? Because I do say some stuff, but anyway. Y'all, I'm going to giggle even saying this one. This is Brendan. Come on, baby. Let me have it. Show me what I do to that high maintenance pussy. Come on. I love it. And then, okay. Let me read this next quote and then I'll get into their first time having spice, because that was the first time they had sex. Piper says this to her sister the next day, because remember I said she could not help. She was ready for the girl talk. She says this to Hannah. Hannah, he gave me a vaginal orgasm. And Hannah's like, what? Like, you orgasmed only from penetration? And she goes, yeah, and we were standing up. It's so funny, y'all. But also, whoa, Brendan's got skills. Like, that is such a rarity. Just a vaginal only orgasm. What? Hello, King. You can be as grumpy as you want. It was so funny. But yeah, she even told her sister, he called my pussy high maintenance. I loved it. Oh my God, the way I giggled so much through this book. Okay, this is Piper. This is when she finally gets her grandmother to go out on the town, which they just end up going to this bar that everyone goes to called Blow the Man Down. Anyway, I'm not making it up. Anyway, she gets really, really tipsy and she's giving all this beauty advice, and the girls are asking her questions, and she's just freely giving beauty advice and makeovers. And so they move the table off to the side to make a runway, and then she goes, watch me walk. Look at my face. It's like, I don't have time for your shit. I'm busy. I'm living. It was so funny. Here's another Brendan quote where he's super naughty. And he tells her when she starts finding out, hey, he's trying to spoil her and he has some money. And she's trying to convince him, no, I don't need all that. I know the value of $1 now. And he just leans in and tells her, spoiling you makes my dick hard. And she's like, oh, well, say less. I'll let you spoil me. So he leads up with this next, y'all. And I died. I was like, oh my God. Okay, Brendan. going to spoil you with my credit card now, then have you sit on my face and spoil you fucking rotten with my tongue later. Damn, Brendan, damn. Okay, all right, sure. Okay, I'll move to this small ass town in the middle of Washington too. Whoa. So Piper tells him, this is later. Piper says, I don't want to be constant work for you, Brendan. Not when you make it so easy to love you. And then Brendan responds, constant work, Piper? No, you misunderstand me. When the reward is as perfect as you, as perfect as this, the work is a fucking honor. Oh my God, Brendan, really? That is so freaking sweet. And that's what I mean by cinnamon roll. Super gruff, grumpy exterior, like man's man, bearded, huge. But my God, when he wants to make the person he loves happy, he is just freaking sugar, okay? And I love that kind of guy. And this is my final quote. And this is when he goes to LA to convince her to come back and to apologize and to take her home. This is what he says. And it is like a beautiful speech, y'all. Brendan says, I do have faith in you, Piper. I will never doubt you again. You deserve so much better than what I gave. And it was wrong of me, so wrong, to get angry at you for protecting yourself. You are giving so much already. You give so much to everyone and everything you touch. You incredible fucking girl. And I love you more than any goddamn ocean. Oh my God. Because she tells him constantly, the ocean is your first love. The ocean is your first love. And it's true. When you're a fisherman, I mean, you fall in love with the ocean, and it is treated like a woman. I mean, it is just like, yeah, and she's brutal. She'll take your life, but she also provides your life. And it's just, it's very poetic how it's woven throughout. And it's also very true. But he straight up tells her, I love you more than any fucking ocean. And it's like, oh, so sweet. I melted. I loved this book. I melted like a popsicle on a hot summer day. It was so good. It was so fun. And it was just had me giggling. And it was the perfect start to our Sizzling Summer series. So we will continue this fun and giggle fest next week with another Sizzling Summer book. And if you liked this, please like and subscribe, rate and review. And until next time, stay spicy.
And that's it for this episode of Book Tease. Book and theme reveals and episode commentary can be found at TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook at Book Tease Pod. Theme music is by The Scraps, and until next time, stay spicy.